Hey everyone, welcome to my latest video where I'll be sharing some incredible stories with you. Before we dive in, please hit that subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. I'd also love to hear your thoughts about these tales in the comments below. Let's get started. Our first story is titled Who's Guilty and Who's Not. This took place back in the 1990s when I was a college student in Texas, freshly retired from the military with a medical discharge. While I was figuring out what to do with my life, my wife, Sarah, was busy working in her dream job. One day, I left campus through a back route to avoid traffic and ended up at a stop sign behind another car, on my way to pick Sarah up for lunch. In front of me was a shiny, candy apple red Chevy, a sleek little number driven by a young woman I'll call Jessica. I was just an old sailor in a beat-up pickup, daydreaming about food and humming along to the radio, when suddenly her car stopped mid-turn. Before I could react, Jessica slammed her Chevy into reverse, crashing into my truck at about 25 or 30 miles per hour. I shut off my engine, stepped out, and surveyed the damage. The good news? That annoying belt squeal I'd been hearing was gone. The bad news? My truck's front end was totaled, headlights smashed, radiator leaking, oil pooling on the ground. Shaking my head in disbelief, I walked over to Jessica's passenger window. I was annoyed but not raging, mostly just confused about why she'd stopped and reversed like that. Peering through her tinted window, I saw her frantically talking on her phone. I wasn't shocked. Cell phone chaos was something I'd gotten used to since Leah VYing the Sarah VYC. I tapped on the glass, and she shot me a blank look before yelling into the phone, "Oh my God, he's got a tire iron," loud enough to wake the dead. I glanced around. No tire iron, no people, no nothing. We were alone at this quiet intersection. Then it hit me. The scene looked like I'd rear-ended her. Panic set in. She was setting me up. With police sirens already wailing in the distance, I raced back to my truck, grabbed the tire iron from under my seat, and hurled it into a nearby field. It was a long shot, but my only shot. I threw the truck into reverse, slumped over the steering wheel, and let myself flop halfway out the open door just as the cop car screeched to a halt. Playing dead, I hoped they wouldn't shoot first and ask questions later. The officer shouted for me to get out, but I stayed limp. He approached cautiously, checked my bloody nose, a lucky break from the flop, and peeked at my rolled-back eyes. Satisfied I wasn't a threat, he turned to Jessica, who was now sobbing hysterically about a crazy man with a tire iron. I stayed still until she spotted me hanging out of the truck. She froze mid-story, stunned. As a second set of sirens neared, medics pulled me from the truck, checked my VY towels, and hit me with smelling salts. I jolted awake, groaning. What the hell did that idiot do to my truck? The medic asked standard questions, pain levels, toe wiggling, while I muttered about the moron who'd backed into me. When the cop came over, I played it cool, handing over my license, insurance, and retired military ID. What happened to my seatbelt? I asked, feigning confusion. I told him my version, Leah VYing out Jessica's gender, calling her him, to avoid tipping my hand. The cop asked for proof, and I scoffed. Proof? You're not saying I did this, are you? He admitted Jessica claimed I'd threatened her with a tire iron. Tire iron? That's at home, 2 hours away, I said. He searched my truck, noted it was still in reverse, and frowned. Then he questioned Jessica again. She backpedaled, saying the tire iron might have been a reflection, but insisted I'd banged on her window. The medic chimed in. No way an unconscious guy's banging on anything. The cop checked her car. Yep, also in reverse. Jessica broke down, admitting she couldn't afford her car payments, and staged the crash. But he was faking too. She cried as they cuffed her for filing a false report and attempted fraud. I signed a statement at the station, carefully omitting how I'd passed out, and let the EMTs report suggesting I'd been ejected, fill in the blanks. Her insurance fixed my truck, and I drove a loaner red Chevy for a week. Irony, right? Sarah and I laughed about it, but I'd never pull a stunt like that to afford a car like Jessica's. Next up, HOA overreach. After years in cramped apartments, I inherited a standalone house from my late uncle, Mark, far from any homeowners association, or so I thought. The daisies lining my walkway were a dream. But soon, I noticed neighbors in matching polos patrolling nightly. One day, a smug guy named Greg knocked, claiming to be from the local HOA. He demanded a spare key for security checks, insisting my house fell under their rules. I showed him my deed, no HOA mentioned. He waved a stack of signed papers, none with my address, and stormed off muttering about fines. The next day, a letter arrived accusing me of violations and summoning me to a hearing. Fed up, I hired a lawyer, Tom, who proved my property was independent. The HOA dodged, citing a vague, old covenant they couldn't produce. They slapped a warning sign on my lawn, and soon after, my trash cans were tipped over. Not a coincidence, I figured. Threats to enter my home followed. I installed cameras and called the cops. A week later, footage caught two figures snooping around my yard at night. The HOA brushed off my harassment report, but an unsigned letter from a former board member, Paul, revealed they were desperate for cash and targeting new properties. Armed with this, Tom got a restraining order. The HOA fought back, spreading flyers calling me a rule-breaking menace. Neighbors confessed they'd been bullied into handing over keys or paying shady fees. One forced to ditch a swing set, another fined for emergency inspections. Tensions rose with more threats, but in court, I brought Paul's letter, my deed, and the footage. The judge saw through the HOA's fake documents and banned their harassment, hinting at a deeper investigation. They appealed, still sending letters, but Paul later dead financial records showing embezzlement and exploitation. Neighbors joined my lawsuit, and the police got involved. Investigators uncovered fraud, missing funds, inflated bills, and board members faced charges. The HOA crumbled, assets frozen, and I won damages for slander. My daisies still bloom, free from their grip. Finally, 2 minutes late. Years ago, at a retail job, my boss, Dave, chewed me out for clocking in at 7:02 a.m. for a 7 a.m. shift he'd scheduled on my day off. I usually arrived early, and state rules gave a 5-minute grace period. Carrying a drink from the day before, I hit my department when Dave snapped, "I expect you here at 7 o'clock, not buying drinks on my dime." I explained the delay and the drink's origin, but he barked, "Plan better, every minute costs us." Payroll friends confirmed we weren't paid for the 3 minutes before or after a shift, so I pulled my timestamps. In 3 months, I'd been early by due law, 330 worth of unpaid time. I showed Dave, saying, "Pay me for this." He refused, citing policy, then tripped over his own logic. "Fine," I said, "I'll start when I'm paid at 7:04. For weeks, I clocked in late at 7:04. HR warned me of discipline, but when I explained, the rep who hated Dave offered me a better gig. I quit instead. Years later, I saw Dave at another store. He waved like nothing happened. The old HR rep told me he'd been fired for not clocking out during lunch breaks. Justice, huh? Thanks for watching. Subscribe, like, and comment. See you next time.